Is this making sense so far? Now, if you're lost, watch the DVDs over a few times. Some of the speakers will go over some of these things several times, so you start to get a lot of different ideas. So remember, like anything, you don't need to learn everything at once. Some of you are already down the road of internet. Just stay with it. Obviously, we'll get into more advanced stuff later. But still look for the basic distinctions you can pick up. Often it's some simple things you're not doing that can double your incomes on your websites, etc. So don't forget the fundamentals. So first step of the 3-step system is to find a product or service, either get the rights to a product or join an online affiliate program, is where everyone could start there. So there's no excuses. There's not a single person in this room here that cannot join an online affiliate program for free, and that cannot be driving traffic to your website or the website you're promoting. You don't even have to have a website. You're promoting your online affiliate link within 24 hours. Anyone can do that. So it just means anyone can start practicing being an internet entrepreneur. Okay? So you can start doing that. That's how effective it is. You could go out during this dinner break when we have a dinner break tonight, and you could effectively go and join up as an online affiliate, whether it's with 21st Century or whoever you want to promote. Get your link, and then we'll show you in a moment how to drive traffic to that link. That's the essence of step one, having a product or service, or step two, what we're moving into is driving traffic. Okay? And step three is getting that traffic to convert to profitable sales. So, any questions so far? Any questions so far on what we've covered? Yeah, we'll take a couple of questions because this might answer some of your other questions in the room. So we'll just start right over here in the back corner.
Yeah, with the affiliate programs, when you click it on, how do you know they're reputable? Or do you just take a chance?
Yeah.
Because a lot of them, I've had a look at some of them, and I didn't know them from a bar of soap.
Yeah, so...
And they offer all this...
Yeah. So what he's saying, if you want to, there's a lot of online affiliate programs out there. Nearly every website has one. How do you know they're reputable, etc.? Generally, you'll be an online affiliate of something that you have an interest in. So you might have been a client of that particular product. So it's like, this is a really good product. I'm happy to promote it. Okay. Or you're happy. You should only promote things that you believe in anyhow. So that's how you check. So if you've been a client of it, you're happy with it. Or it's a company that's been successful, it's around, and then it's reputable in that sense. Most companies, they're not going to, if you're promoting and driving traffic to them, it's in their interest to make sure you get paid. It's in their interest to look after you, okay? So it's just, that's essence, an element of trust. But if you're promoting something and you're not making money or you don't get paid from it, then you just stop promoting it, okay? That's what people would do. So any other questions?
I've got GoDaddy for my sites. And
GoDaddy?
But I'm interested whether you have any ideas or preferences for a more efficient or better provider of that service.
As far as domain names?
Domain names and also website development.
Yeah, good question. GoDaddy is often what you'll do, and why you probably use GoDaddy is, let's say here, if you join an online affiliate program, let's say you're joining Foxtel. Now, in Australia, I don't think Foxtel even has one, but I'm just using this as an example. You'll get an online affiliate code, Foxtel / and a number that relates to your unique number, okay? So rather than promote that, what you can actually do is get a domain name. Domain name being a website name that you can link to this. So instead of people seeing a long code like that, what you can get as a domain name might be free trial, something that relates to the product. So it might be foxteltv.com. Doubt whether that would be available or something like that. You can just go and register a domain, a website name that relates to the product or service. So you promote that name. And when you register the domain, like GoDaddy, it will say, where do you want to direct it to? That domain, you direct it to this, if that was an example you wanted to promote. So you might be, your domain might be cabletv4free.com or something, okay, whatever it is, whatever you go and register, and you link it to that. So that's where you have a domain name. So your question is GoDaddy's one. GoDaddy's very cheap and very effective. We've used that in the past. Is there others? Some of the speakers tomorrow will promote some that they'd recommend. So there is others in Australia. And about website development, things like that. Some of the other speakers will mention that as far as different resources of where you can get websites done. These days, even Google now has their own website development where you can have your own Google sites. So that's quite inexpensively can be done as well. So you can check out that and go to Google. They'll actually, I think it's googlesites.com or something like that, where they'll actually, you can buy a website, template website, and they'll be pretty much, you can then build your own website. So the technology is there today where you don't have to employ a web designer. You can effectively build your own websites. Or I know some of you are like me and go, build a website. I have no idea what to do, even if it's very simple. I won't even touch it, rather someone else do it for me. So then you just pay other people to do it for you. And in today's globalized world, you don't have to pay a lot of money. You can outsource this. I know in our companies, we outsource a lot of web development to overseas. We have our own internal web developers. We also have a team of external web developers. So a lot of work, they work remotely and they're quite inexpensive. Okay, so you can hire people, full-time web designers overseas for a fraction of the cost which you'd pay for someone in Australia. If you're actually doing a lot of websites, you could do that. Or you just pay someone to do it. Okay. Question? Yep.
Yeah, this is working. Can you recall the difference between AdSense and AdWords?
Okay, what's the difference between AdSense and AdWords? What I'll do, I'll give you an actual example shortly. Okay, in a nutshell, AdWords is where you're going to advertise on Google, where you can place ads, and I'll show you that. AdSense is where you have a website with heaps of traffic coming to it, and you want Google to place other people's ads on your website. I.e., like this example here, let's say you had a website. This is your website, and heaps of people come to your website, and you allow Google to put ads down the side of your page. And then they have all different advertisers here that are advertising with Google, and someone clicks on it when they come to your site, and you get paid. So they might not have bought your product or service, but they've clicked on someone else's ad, and you're being paid for that. That's AdSense, Google AdSense. As opposed to Google AdWords, I'll run through a demonstration for you shortly. Okay, let's move on quickly. So if you want to be an online affiliate, there's one thing you can do if you're with 21st Century. If you went to our 21stcenturyacademy.com, some of you have already done this, you will see there's a section there for affiliates. You can click on that and you can enroll for free to be an online affiliate, which means if you drive traffic to that site, you'll be paid a commission or referral fee for anyone that becomes a client, becomes a member, effectively. So that's an example as an online affiliate program. Step number 2, driving traffic to your website. Don't forget to include your website in offline marketing. So let's keep it really simple, but a lot of people forget to promote it offline as well. Promote your website in all your marketing. The fastest way generally to drive traffic to your website. So let's say now you have a product or service, or you're an online affiliate, you want to promote someone else's product or service. Now you've got to say, how do I get traffic to my affiliate link, or how do I get traffic to my website? The most critical step. You need the traffic there. These are all many different ways you can get traffic there. Google AdWords, I'm going to show you an example of that in a moment. Who already uses Google AdWords? Okay, maybe 10% of the room. Be very powerful, very effective. You've got to do it correctly though. You don't want to spend too much on Google AdWords. There's an art to not spending too much. The biggest mistake people will make, they'll end up paying too much per click and spend too much, or they'll promote products that are too cheap and they don't get enough return. So if you're arbitraging and spending $1,000 in Google AdWords, you want to be able to make more than that in profit. But if you're selling a product that's too inexpensive, then you're not going to make enough margin on it, or a product that doesn't convert well enough. So it's a matter of testing and measuring, and that's just part of what you're going to learn by getting started. I'll come back to Google AdWords in a moment. Get high website ranking with search engines. This is probably the most effective way to get traffic. It's also probably the hardest way for the average person, and it's not instant. Generally, it'll take some time to do this. So a speaker, there'll be some speakers, but a speaker on Monday in particular, he is legendary at this, at getting people, and he has a service as well. So if you want your website in particular keywords, he actually even has a guarantee that he'll guarantee you to get your website #1 in certain keywords. And you pay a fee for that per month, SEO. So there's examples where you can do it yourself or hire people to do it. SEO is continually changing, but when you hear people say SEO, SEO means search engine optimization. It means how to get your website ranked high with the search engines. Who are search engines? What's a search engine? Name one. Google. Okay. Pretty much these days, Google dominates the market so much, you want to be ranking high in Google and you pretty much own the space. A website, you've got to understand this. It's new media. A website is just a page that appears on a computer effectively. But it's effectively a piece of real estate, because think about Rupert Murdoch paid $580 million US for MySpace website. Microsoft paid $260 million for just 1% ownership of Facebook. Google is worth what? In excess of $100 billion. All it is a website. So it's going to take some mind expansion to realize that you're creating a website, may not be worth $1 billion, but it's worth something if you can get traffic to it. You're building a business that has value. That's what you're doing here. So remember, it's like, how is such wealth created? It's created out of thin air. A website with traffic is of value. Even some websites that don't even sell much. YouTube was worth a fortune. It didn't even sell anything. It still doesn't have a lot of revenue, but it's worth a lot because of the traffic, the potential to convert that revenue. Okay? So we're talking about making money out of thin air. Some people in this room will go out and build websites that will be worth a small fortune. You're building a valuable asset, like property. It's a physical asset you're building here. Who's excited by that? Okay? So they can make you money while you sleep, but the challenge is going to be to not fall to sleep while I'm trying to teach you how to make money while you sleep. Some of you are struggling. If you have my permission to gently nudge the person next to you, they start to drift off, okay? So everyone just sitting up straight in your chair, move your shoulders, keep yourself awake, okay? Otherwise, you'll get tired, you'll skip over some of this, you'll miss it, and you're the one that loses. You lose your income. Okay, so SEOs, getting high website ranking, is the most valuable long-term strategy, and you're going to learn different ways on that this weekend. However, it's not instant. Where number 2, pay-per-click, is instant. You could actually get traffic within 15 minutes. When I show you how to do it, you could go out of here to a computer, set up a Google ad campaign. Within 15 minutes, literally, you can have traffic coming to your website. If you don't have a website, coming to the website you're promoting and earning a commission on. Okay? It's literally that fast. SEO will sometimes take weeks, months, years to get all the way to the top of a ranking. But the difference is this. In Google AdWords, you are paying to get traffic. SEO, the traffic is free traffic. That's the difference. Free traffic. And I'll show you an example at the moment. Number 4, have your own online affiliate program so other people can join your website and earn a commission to promote what you do. There's whole software, etc., that will run all these programs for you quite inexpensively. I'll mention that before I wrap up today, where you can get access to that sort of stuff. Number 5, there's online affiliate program companies that will market your product. Commission Monster is one of those, as an example, where they have their own online affiliates. They might have hundreds of thousands of them, and these online affiliates promote all sorts of different products. So you can give them your product and say, will you promote my product? If it's a good product they can make money out of, they will put all their online affiliates to promote and drive traffic to your website, and they get a commission. Okay, so I've used Commission Monster before. Okay, so they have the potential to drive thousands of leads. Okay. Number 6, joint ventures. Long-term, joint ventures is the most sound way to build a business, along with SEO. But once again, it takes time. It takes time to build credibility, to build relationships. So a joint venture is, you may go to someone else that has a website or database and say, look, I would like you to promote to your database my product or service, and I'll pay you a commission. Okay, I'll pay you a commission. So that's what you're doing. So you're getting other people. Let's say someone had 100,000 people in their database, and you could get them to promote their product or service. So we've done this before in some of our databases. People approach and say they've got a really good product. Get approached all the time, but very rarely will we do it. But if it's a product that I feel that particular database will value or want, then we'll consider promoting it. And as a result, we earn a commission from that. You can send out 1 or 2 emails and earn tens of thousands of dollars. Okay, and doing nothing, it's all fully automated. Who likes the idea of that? Okay, the power of a list. Okay, obviously, the more successful you become, the more credibility you have. All companies will approach you. You might go, look, you can market to my website, my list, and I'll market to your list. And you either do it that way or you share a commission either way. Okay. Now, the good thing with online marketing to email lists, it's all can be easily tracked. So people get a sale, it's all tracked. Number 7, obviously, one way to get more traffic to your site is client updates or e-zines, which is effectively like, a magazine, but an online magazine, articles, etc. So you're continually going back to your database. Number 8, now we're going to go into some detail on how you go about doing these things as well, is links to your site. This is another way to get traffic to your site. In other words, have other websites linking to your site. So if you have something of interest, articles or something free you're giving away on your website, other people may just naturally link to your site because they want to send their traffic, oh, this is a great place to get XYZ information. Click here, and they click to your site. Or you can actively pursue getting people to link to your site. One way to get the top CEO rankings, get high website rankings, is to have a lot of people linking to your site. So that's an effective strategy. So you've got many pillars. In other words, the way I explain this is if we look at this, what you want is what we call the Parthenon effect. In other words, if you build a business that's dependent on just one source of revenue, it's like a table with one leg. It's a bit wonky. You lose that leg, your business collapses. But if you can have a business that has a second leg, a third leg, a fourth leg, and ideally more and more legs, you create a Parthenon effect. Now, that building that's in Greece, I think it is. What's that city called? Athens. So the Parthenon effect. I went to look for the Parthenon once because I always heard about this. And I was in Italy and I was asking the tourist guide, where's the Parthenon? They said, wrong country. So anyhow, so I figured out it's in Greece. So I had to travel to Greece and I found the Parthenon. But that's what it looks like. Is that true? The Parthenon. So, but it's very strong structure and has lasted a long time because it has many pillars. This is your Parthenon as an example. You do not just rely on Google AdWords. If you just rely on Google AdWords and that stops working for you and you have no other legs, your business can collapse. But if you have SEO rankings, so these are all your 8 ways. If you master these 8 ways, you'll have a very successful internet business. If you only mastered 1 or 2 of them, you'll have a successful internet business. So these are 8 pillars to drive traffic to your website. Okay. Now, I've got an example there, recipes. One of my internet mentors, what he did is he didn't have a product or service, but he knew how to search for demand on things. So on who has demand, what people are looking for on the internet. And what he found was this, is that when the internet first started, it was originally designed by the Defence Force for defence use. And then it expanded, and the most common reason people used the internet for was actually, guess. What do most people search on the internet for? So you aren't game to say, are you? It's actually it's recipes and actually chicken recipes. Do you realize that? The internet in the beginning was used to transfer and swap recipes around the world. A lot of people, that's what they used it for. So he found there's a lot of demand for recipes and he looked into it, and I'll show you this weekend how you go and find what people are searching for. And chicken recipes was the most popular recipe. So a lot of people looking for chicken recipes. So he thought, I'm an internet marketer. He knows nothing about chicken recipes, but he knows how to get a website built and he knows how to drive traffic. So he would set up his website. So he set up a website about chicken recipes. So got a web designer to go and get all the information about chicken recipes, put it on a nice site, know how to market that site. So one good thing that you should always have on your website is this. You should have an opt-in. The most common mistake, basic mistake most websites don't have is they have no opt-in. What is an opt-in? People come to your website, you want them to opt in and enter their email address and or maybe their full contact details. True? Because very few people come to your website and buy the first time. They'll come to your website, check it out, and might go away again. If you don't get them to opt in their details, you don't know who they are, and you can never communicate to them again. What you want to understand, jot this down, relationship marketing. So relationship marketing is continually to build a relationship over time, most people try and sell people up front. Focus on the selling. You should be focused on building a relationship. Best way to build a relationship is to add value. Give something away for free. Okay? Adding value, continually adding value. You build a relationship, you build trust, you build credibility, and you long-term will build a better database. So you have an opt-in. So every website you have should have where you're giving away something, whether it's a free newsletter, a free trial of software, or free subscription, free sample, free something to get people to opt in, to enter their details. A free report. Any business, a website can have a free report. 7 ways to eliminate tax if you're an accountant. 7 ways to crack your back yourself if you're a chiropractor. Okay, maybe not that. 7 ways to come and see me and I'll crack your back and keep on coming back every month. Okay? Whatever it is. So you have a report. So opt in. You're building up a list. The value of your business is determined by the value of your database, your clientele. So you're going to build up a massive list, and this is all automated. Your software on your website can be done to do all this. It'll build up the database. And then what you will do is you will send out regular, like in point number 7, you will send out regular articles and regular emails. Or in this case, people opted in. So your opt-in might be, if you're selling chicken recipes, opt in for 6 free chicken recipes delivered to you over the next few months. People go, cool, I'm into chicken recipes, opt in and you're going to get something for free. So as a result, then what your website doing is you're going to send out free chicken recipes, okay? But at the bottom you might be adding value, but at the bottom of every email you might have an offer. The latest chicken recipe super duper guide, normally $38, your price for only $19.95 if you act now. Okay, so let's say he's built up a list of 10,000 people that have opted in, been driving traffic to that, and he might have got a good SEO, so people search chicken recipes and this website comes up high, people getting great resources, and he sends out an email, and the rest he's charging $19.95 for a chicken recipe book, which would be downloadable, by the way, so there's no shipping, so that would be pretty much 100% profit margin. And what if only 1% of people responded? What's 1% of 10,000? 100 people? Correct? 100 people? 100 people responded and they paid $19.95 and downloaded the super duper chicken recipe deluxe model. Okay? What's $19.95 by 100? $2,000 basically. Is that right? $1,995 from an email. How much does it cost him to send that email out? Nothing. So let's say he's sending an email out every month, and at the bottom of every email he has a different offer of a product or service, or it might be the same one. 100 people might have bought it this month, there's a different 100 people buy it the next month. He makes $2,000 profit from that website, as an example, simply by sending out an email. Now, does he have to stay up all night typing in 10,000 email addresses, yes or no? No, it's automated. It's all done for him. You can have software for as little as $100 a month that will manage and run all that for you. Does he have to be, and remember, oh my God, I've got to remember, I haven't sent out that chicken recipe to that website this month. I better go and do that. Does he have to do that? He can have it preset for 12 months in advance or 2 years in advance. It automatically just presets it. Set it up and the software will automatically just send it out. Set up and forget. And if he knows how to get traffic and get enough traffic, and this list can continually grow. Repeat after me. Something to think about. That is the basic concept of building a website that will generate revenue. Okay? Key distinction, do you have an opt-in on your website? If you don't, what's the point of the website? If it's just an information website, great, but no opt-in, you're not going to build a database. No database, no value. You can't communicate back to those people. Okay? So, for some people that's very basic. Some people it's all new. But even if it's very basic, if you're already doing internet marketing, the question is, are you doing all these things? Because I bet you're not doing it the full Parthenon. I bet you're not using 8 of those ways. Just one extra of those legs added to your business will make it stronger, make it more profitable, make it more recession-proof, and a lot more successful long-term. Okay. So I know some of you, it's information overload. Others of you, you're moving along quite well with it. Okay. Don't have to master everything today. Just take in as much as you can. You're going to hear some of these different points several times, so it's going to start to make more sense. If you're still lost, you'll be able to watch the DVDs over and over again. Spaced repetition, you'll get started. You don't need to know everything to make money. You only need to know a fraction of these things I've shared today, and you can make decent money. Then when you're actually doing it, you're going to learn faster than you will. Then you'll remember, I better go back to those notes and review those finer distinctions, because that's when these distinctions start to make a lot of sense. Now I know why he shared that. Oh, that's important. It's like when I'm teaching you how to ride a bike. What was that thing you mentioned about a brake? When you're going down the hill and you're getting out of control, it's like, maybe I should have paid attention. Didn't seem important at the time. Didn't seem to relate to me at the time. What's this thing about gears and leverage? going up this hill. You didn't realize it could have been a lot easier doing it the hard way. So the faster you learn, but it's a combination of learning but applying, and then step by step makes more sense. So what I'm going to show you now is Google. Let's go for a look at Google. Now, I'm sure just about everyone in this room has been to Google before to search for something. So some of you, I'm just going to show you how you can advertise on Google, an instant way you can drive traffic. And there's so many businesses in this country that are not using Google, or are using it but not using it effectively. Jot this down. Google is your friend, okay? Google is your friend. Google can make you a lot of money, okay, if you use it correctly. Very powerful tool for internet entrepreneurs. One of the best tools you can get. Okay, so let's say we wanted to search for something. And let's say you wanted to go search for, let's say you want to go for a holiday to Fiji. So you type in Fiji holidays, okay? So you can see there you can search obviously web all around the world, or you can search just in Australia. Let's say you're in Australia, you want to go to Fiji on a holiday, you want to find out what holiday packages are available, so you do a search as per normal. Okay, so here we have, so obviously it comes up anything relating ideally to flying to Fiji or Fiji accommodation. So you can't see it that clearly on this screen, but what you have here across the top, see this word here, it says sponsored links. You can see that, sponsored links. And down here, sponsored links. So these top three here, there's a yellow shading behind them. Okay, from the screen it's a little bit harder to see, but if you can see in a computer screen, they're all shaded yellow behind them. And all these down here, they are what we call sponsored links. They are companies paying to advertise on Google to be there. They're only there because they're paying Google money. Well, they pay every time someone clicks on them. This here, from here downwards, they are just websites just showing up because they're the most popular sites according to Google. So if we were to click on, say, Pacific Holidays here, or for those who are over here, if we were to click on that, does it cost that company anything when we click on it? No, it doesn't cost. These ones, you click on those, it's free. They're getting free traffic. We clicked on them, they got someone going to their website for free. That's search engine optimization, SEO. Get high website ranking. Pacific Holidays has high website ranking, so as a result of that, their website would get a lot of traffic and they'd probably make decent money as a result of that #1 position for Fiji Holidays. Okay? Where these other people, if you want to get revenue quickly and instantly, like today, and traffic to your website or traffic to the site that you're promoting, then you can run these Google ads and have your ads appearing here or anywhere down here. But if people click on these ads, the person running the ad will get charged by Google. They'll get charged per click, i.e. pay per click. Make sense? How much will you get charged? Totally up to you. You would set the approximate budget that you want to spend. Okay? You might want to spend up to $5 a click, or you might want to spend 20 cents a click. You set the budget. How much will you spend in total? You can set the budget. So I only want to spend $50 a day. I want to spend $1,000 a day, $10 a day. But Jamie, what if one of my competitors goes to the website and just clicks on my ad to run up my bill? Could they do that? Yeah, I'm sure they do. But I'm sure that's been thought of before and been resolved. So in other words, about 14% of traffic is called, estimated to be, I'm not sure the terminology now, but not genuine traffic. In other words, fake traffic, or not fake traffic, but people that aren't really wanting to go there, just jumping on clicking on it to run up a bill. But Google has tracking for that, so if someone keeps on doing that, they'll just stop it so that you won't be charged. Okay? So, but people can click on this ad. So you look at the #1 there, virginblue.com.au holidays. They are running Google ads, so they can jump right to the top. Because why at the top? Because they're probably paying the most per click. They're willing to pay the most per click to be there, and or a combination of how many people click on their site. Okay, so remember, Google makes its money by people clicking on their ads. So they want the most profitable ads at the top. Make sense? They will determine who goes on the top. And they want the most profitable. So if you're prepared to pay more per click, that will push you to the top. So it's a combination of how much you pay per click and how many people click on your link. In other words, like if you pay $1 per click and 100 people a day click on your ad, Google's charged you $100. If you pay $2 a click though, you're willing to pay $2 a click, but only 10 people a day click on your ad, $2 times 10 is $20. Google only earns $20 versus $100. So you see how that calculation works? Whoever they're going to earn the most off, they're going to put at the top. Everyone with me? If you're not with me, it doesn't matter. All you do is you pay money to Google and they'll run your ads and you get business to your site. That's effectively what you can do. So in 15 minutes, you could go and set up a Google account. It's free. You'd need a credit card to activate it. In other words, they'll charge you every few weeks onto your credit card. The maximum is your budget. You can set a budget, so you only spend $100 a month, $1,000 a month, whatever you want to limit it to. In the beginning, you limit it small, and then they will run the ads for you on the keywords that you wish to run ads on. Jot this word down, keywords. What are keywords? They are words that are key for people searching for your product or service, i.e., thus keywords. Keywords for people searching. So if you were a travel agent specializing in holidays from Australia to Fiji, a keyword obviously would be what? Fiji or Fiji holidays or Fiji accommodation or Fiji flights or holiday South Pacific. It might be starting to be more extended keyword. These are keywords that you're going to think, what are the people that are going to want to buy my product or service? What are they going to be searching for? And you create a list of keywords. So when you set up your Google account, which you can set up, if you've never done this before, it'd be worth setting one up just for the practice. So write down an action step. In the next 7 days, I solemnly swear that I will open a Google account. And if I don't, I will pay Mr. McIntyre $1,000. Now, it's up to you if you want to do it, but I'm saying the process of setting up a Google account is invaluable if you're going to market the internet. It's probably the most common step. Some of you, that's all you ever did and got good at this, it's enough to make you very successful online. So you set up a Google account. So you just go to Google's homepage. So if we go back, if we want to set up a Google account now, Google's homepage down here, see where it says advertising programs? So go there to Google, click on advertising programs. Ta-da, left-hand side it has Google AdWords, right-hand side it has Google AdSense. Google AdWords is if we want to place our ads to appear on Google. Google AdSense is allow them to place Google's ads on your website. That's the difference. You sign up for both if you want. So if you want to place Google AdWords, Google will teach you a lot of things, okay? They're usually too busy to come and speak at events, but they will have it automated. They want you spending money with them, okay? They want you to do. So we could go in here now, enter in, we'll literally take a couple of minutes. So it'll actually pretty much tell you how to go about doing it. So how to attract more customers, run ads, and you'd have to, if you already have a Google account, you could enter that and it would opt you in. If you don't, you'd open up an account, which I imagine down here, somewhere it'll allow you to open up an account. Sign up now. Who's already got a Google account open? Was it difficult to open a Google account? How long did it take?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. All they're going to ask what your name, address, details, credit card details, and then you can actually set up your account. So if we went all the way through, what it's going to ask for then is you're going to enter your keywords. I want you to enter all your contact details, etc. You'll enter your keywords. So if you're promoting a product or service, you've got to think of what are the keywords people will be looking for. Okay? So whatever you're promoting. In this case, keywords are going to relate to Fiji holidays. Something like that. So you're going to list a whole list of keywords. Fiji holidays. Fiji holidays spelt incorrectly. You put in words that are spelled incorrectly because a lot of people, when they're searching, they'll spell incorrectly. So you'll come up with all different combinations. Now, some people think, so whatever keyword you put in, that's where your ad will show. Okay? So if you want your ad showing in more and more places around the world, or when you say you only want the ads showing in Australia, you click only Australia. Or you can select what countries around the world you want your ads to show on. So you can be doing this globally or just for Australia, okay, or just for New Zealand. It doesn't matter. And the more keywords you put in, the more places your ads will show. So here's a common mistake people do. I want my ads to show everywhere so I get more and more traffic. So I'm just going to put in a massive long list of keywords. That can often not be a smart thing to do. The keywords have to be what? They have to be key. They have to be key words. If you're promoting Fiji holidays and you put in, say, or you put in Threadbow as a keyword, people searching for Threadbow. Fiji holidays, is it any correlation, yes or no? One, what you'll do is you'll annoy the advertiser, you'll annoy the consumer. Who's ever clicked on ads that you thought were going to relate to what you wanted, but was something completely irrelevant? Who's ever had that experience? And it annoys you, doesn't it? Because it's like you're searching for something, you don't want to be misled. It just wastes your time. And Google doesn't like it either, because then if you have an unhappy experience as a consumer using Google, even though it's free, you won't use it. So they've got to make it accurate and effective. So Google obviously wants to protect their service as well. So you want words that are applicable, okay? Because you can put 100,000 words in there, your ads will appear everywhere, but it doesn't relate to Fiji holidays. So even if someone does click on it and it's not really what they're looking for, they've clicked on your ad, you're being charged, but that person's not even interested in your website. Does it make sense? So is this really complicated, or really what we're doing is using common sense? Common sense is you want traffic to your website, send people there that want to go there. Then what you can do as you get more effective at this, what you should start to do is tighten up your keywords and use test and measure. Google Analytics, okay, you can jot this down. Google has analysis systems, so you can tie this to your web pages. It'll analyze the results, okay? So it'll actually show you how many clicks, okay? How many, then it can be set up and tied to your account where it can actually show how many people bought your product even. So good analytics will show you which ads people are clicking on, so which gets you the highest number of clicks. But also what you want is not just a high number of clicks, because some people go, I've mastered Google, I want to get as many clicks as possible. But let's do common sense corner. What would you rather? 1,000 clicks and you get 2 sales, or 100 clicks but you get 5 sales? It's obvious, isn't it? Which is better? This, if the clicks are costing you the same amount of money, this is what we call targeted clicks that'll increase the chance of selling. Or if you didn't get 5 sales, you only got 1 sale, what would you rather? You'd still want this one, wouldn't you? Because now you have a recipe, now you have a conversion, you have the analysis to see what it's working out. Once you've tested and measured, you get 100 clicks and that's costing you $1 each. It's cost you $100, but you made 1 sale on average. And let's say you're selling something, you're making $500, okay? So you made $500. You've outlaid $100 and you've made $500. Is that a good return on your money? You now have an automated investment, effectively, 500% return on your money, as an example. Once you get those analysis done, marketing done like that as a recipe, then let's say you've tested and measured this consistently on the product you're selling, and you're getting $500 for about every $100 you outlay, then you can go, aha, this is working. Now I might spend $1,000 or invest $1,000, and that should give me a $5,000 return. That starts to work, then you can grow. I'm going to invest $10,000, then get me $50,000 return. I'm going to invest $100,000, get $500,000 return. Then you can just grow. It's just scalability. And you say, I don't have $50,000 or $100,000 to invest. You don't need it because you started small, you made the profits, and you're reinvesting to grow your business larger. Is that making sense? So it all comes back to common sense. How are you going to know this? You're going to use common sense. You're going to test and measure. You don't go, I'm going to go and spend $3,000 and make all this money. Well, if you spend $3,000 and you don't test and measure it, then you're wasting your money. Start small, test, measure, okay? See the results, fine-tune it, and things will change. So Google AdWords that might be working well now, in 6 months, you might have to change. You might have to fine-tune them. The market's changing, so you need to change with it. But pretty much it can be set and forget. You get it working well, you set and forget. You mightn't be doing, you might be paying someone to do these AdWord campaigns for you. So you say, Jamie, this sounds really interesting, but it's just not for me, but I want to improve my website. I want to get more traffic. Is there people you can pay that will do this for you? Yes or no? Plenty of people will do that. Some of the speakers may have products or services that they'll do it for you. I'm sure they do have. I don't do it. I know how to do this myself. I could go on and set up Google accounts and do all. It's not difficult. So you should do it yourself anyhow to start with. Just practice. Handy to know. But then you can outsource it. There's companies that will do it for you. They'll charge you a fee. I use a whole agency that all they do is they charge 20% on top. So if I'm spending 10 grand a month on Google AdWords, then they'll charge me 12 grand, 10 grand for advertising, 20% on top. Is that right? Yep. So for me, when you're doing volume, just outsource it. And they're professionals, they know what they're doing, but I'll still give them marketing tips. Change this, do that, etc. Or my marketing people will. Making sense? So you can outsource it. There's outsource agencies will do this. There's individuals that will do it for you, or you can do it yourself in the small scale. Okay? What does this mean as far as income? This means that there's businesses in this country right now in Australia, or right around the world, that could instantly grow their sales by having targeted traffic sent to their website within 15 minutes from now, if they knew what I just showed you how to do this. But most of them aren't because they don't know how, and no one's ever shown them how to do it. And therefore they never get started. This can be for some people the single most effective thing they ever do in the history of their internet business. Others, Google ads aren't perfect for everyone. For every business model, it's not always the perfect model. Okay? But there's nothing else that can be this instant. What it's going to do is jump you to the top of the tree, i.e., if you look at what Mr. Branson's doing, Virgin Blue, they obviously jump to the top of the tree because they see value in Google advertising. So if we go back into here, well, he's just been Trump's at Virgin Blue's jumped off here. So Qantas has jumped to the top. Qantas has said, piss off, Richard, I'm here. Okay, so Jeff Dixon's been sitting there on the computer and going, I'm going to beat Virgin Blue, and Qantas has now jumped to the top. Do you see that? Now, Google is continually changing. It's up to Google, whoever they put at the top. But it's that calculation, the most revenue Google's going to get. The more you pay per click, that's going to push it up. The more clicks people click on, the more it's going to push you up. But you see there, Qantas, you want to fly to Fiji. A lot of people, Pacific Holidays is the highest ranked in the websites. Qantas has overjumped them, but they have to pay for it. So if you click on Qantas, you'll pay for it. But to Qantas mind, so if we go and click on Qantas right now, okay, let's see if we can increase the expenses of Qantas. Does anyone own Qantas shares? We've just cost Qantas money. The share price will be affected. So we go through to Qantas. Now, in the case of airlines, they could afford to spend a lot per click. You know why? Because airlines is a service that people don't have to, they might go and look at prices and come back and book later. But there's a fair chance if we want to go to Fiji, we'll come through this website and pay now. Airlines are those sort of nature of industries, there's a chance they get a sale instantly. So they can afford to spend a lot more on Google advertising because people go to the website and buy straight away in many cases, or will certainly come back. So Qantas now has been charged, Google will now charge Qantas's account maybe $1. Let's say they were paying $1, probably more for that Fiji holidays. They might have been paying $2, $3, I don't know. Maybe more, it's probably worth a fair bit. Let's say they're paying $5. So we just cost Qantas $5. Okay, anyone feel sorry? But think about that, is that cheap advertising for Google? That $5. We're in a room full here, 250 people, and you're seeing a Qantas website and Qantas ads. This is being filmed and go out to thousands of people. Qantas is getting a free plug. I don't particularly like Qantas. It's not my favourite airline. So let's see where Virgin Blue is. I'd much rather fly with Virgin because I think they deliver a better service. The difference with Virgin, you don't have to pay extra for a smile. Okay? Qantas, you have to be upgraded, pay $5,000 extra to get a smile. But that's my personal opinion. I'm sure Qantas appreciate that. They're probably not likely to be a sponsor of any of my seminars. So, is everyone starting to see the value of Google AdWords? You can jump to the top of the queue. Like Qantas has done there, Virgin Blue, etc. We can jump up there and be there. So across the top and down the side. If we clicked on Pacific Holidays, it costs them nothing because they're not. Now you can't see the difference there. Some of you can you see the yellow above? it says sponsored links. ACCC was going to take Google to court because they were saying people don't know which is sponsored links, which aren't. Now, my question is, who cares? Okay, ACCC was just trying to make a name for themselves. They dropped the case. But who cares? I mean, you pretty much know it's a sponsored link. Who cares? You just search and you click on it. It's like, you don't care. And I think pretty much people, if you're looking at the screen, you can see. You can see it clearly says sponsored links. That would, I assume, means they're sponsored, they're paid to be there. So if we click on Fiji and Pacific Holiday Specialists, we go through their site. We may look at buying through them, etc. It costs them nothing for that. So that's why long-term search engine optimization is a long, sustainable leg of your Parthenon. Okay? So Google AdWords might be here, but it's costing you money. Here, you click on that, you're getting free traffic. So long-term, it's sustainable. So that's something you're going to say. Long-term, I want to get high rankings. Short-term, instantly, Google AdWords. So it can be instant, etc. So I think it's great both ways. Now, you can also pay people to get you high website rankings. It's something that most of you, unless you really dedicate and focus on that, are not going to be that effective at doing it yourself. So you're going to outsource most of that anyhow. Or you're going to learn some valuable skills this weekend of how to get yourself ranked higher. And this game, by the way, is changing all the time. There's what we call black hat techniques and white hat. Make sense? Black hat techniques are what's considered borderline or across the boundary of what the rules are. Who sets the rules? Pretty much Google. Google a monopoly, pretty much. They dominate, so they set the rules. So they consider what's black hat techniques, which is sort of sneaky techniques to try and fool the search engines to get yourself ranked higher. BMW tried that in Germany a few years back, and Google just banned them straight away. So if you get caught doing black hat techniques, or the people you employ are doing it, Google can ban you. And being banned, can drop you from the top ranking or drop you right down to the 38th page where no one's going to look, and that can cost you a lot of money. So it's like anything, play by the rules. In saying that, there's a grey line sometimes between what's white hat, what's black hat. It's changing, it's a whole game. So what Google does, they invite the black hat experts in often to work with them and say, okay, how do we work together? How do we keep it fair? How do we encourage you guys to play by the rules, etc. But there's always this game going on of how do you circumnavigate Google's rules for how to get ranked high. Google won't tell anyone their exact criteria for how they rank high, because why? That is their unique knowledge, that they don't want to share that with everyone, because then people will be all trying to circumnavigate. But they will give you the basics. Okay, what they want is a website that relates to the topic that people are searching for. Very common sense. They want a website that gets a lot of links to it, so you have other sites linking to you. So one of the speakers will share how do you get ranked so high. All he does is he gets thousands of other sites linking to your site to drive your ranking up. That's pretty much what he does. Okay, get thousands. So the more sites, because Google will go, if there's a lot of other sites linking to your site must be popular. The other way, if you've got a site that's very highly ranked, linking to you, one strategy sometimes when you advertise, say with Sydney Morning Herald or some of the really high ranked sites, 9MSN, them linking to you, they're like 9MSN I think is one of the top ranking sites in Australia, massive traffic. If that's linking to your site, you can see how that will get you a higher ranking, because Google will go, my God, if they're ranking to it, your site must be valuable, popular, it'll push your site up. Things like that will affect all that. For some of you novices, that's probably a little bit over your head right now. For some of you advanced, that's like, yep, makes sense. Raise your hand, make some noise if you learned at least one thing so far today. So we're halfway through day one. It's a 3-day program. So some of you have learnt enough now to go away and start applying things and start seeing some results. We're going to go into a lot more depth as we progress, but we're trying to keep it as simple as possible. Because at the end of the day, as complex as some things can become, the key to being a successful entrepreneur is to keep it simple and think like a consumer. Okay? I.e. Google, what are the people who want to buy my product, what would they be looking for? What are they searching for? That's how you base a good Google campaign. It always comes back to common sense. As complex as it might get, bring it back to what is common sense. Most successful entrepreneurs were quite simple-minded, and that was a great skill. Where humans get caught up in complicating things. Okay. So what I promised to also teach you was what I call the Billionaire strategy. I know some of you are like a little bit tired, so we can skip over it if you wish. Or would you prefer to, it will take me about 15, 25 minutes to teach you how to be a billionaire. It's no big deal. Who has the time for that? Who has the time for that? Okay. So, as I said, I'm not going to teach you this to say you're going to go out there and become a billionaire. But very few seminars, I've never been to a seminar in my life where someone will actually teach you the mechanics of how to become a billionaire. There's seminars out there that will teach you how to think like a billionaire, but how to actually become a billionaire, it's a very different thing. Now, what gives me the right to speak on such a subject as teaching you how to be a billionaire? I'll be right up front with you. I'm not a billionaire, so I don't know from personal experience what it takes, but I do know from the practical strategy of being able to spend a lot of time with numerous billionaires and also the process of becoming a millionaire. I figure all I have to do is add an extra few zeros to it anyhow. But I do actually know what it would take to become a billionaire as far as practical strategies, and I'll share some of that with you. And but as I said, the goal is not to necessarily teach you how to become a billionaire. By all means, that is interesting information to know. Okay, some of you go, this is really, I'd always like to know how people actually do become billionaires. 2, some of you are share investors. If you're a share investor, you really need to know this because this is what creates the market. And not knowing this means you're really only seeing one side of the picture. You see both sides, you'll see how it all works. It'll make you a far better share investor. 3, some of you may generally want to become billionaires and will do what it takes, and this information would probably shortcut you and save you many years if you do actually want to become a billionaire. 4, the ultimate goal really is if you can replicate the strategy that billionaires use, even on 1% of that strategy, and make tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars, in some cases millions of dollars, would that be worth it, yes or no? And that's the main reason I want to share it with you, because it relates into everything that we're teaching here. And that's why it's important to know. So, I set a goal many years ago to become a millionaire. I didn't know how to do that, but when the student's ready, who usually appears? The teachers. So I ended up coming across a millionaire mentor, or several of them, and that enabled me to learn off them, and many years later I become a millionaire. About 18 months ago, or 2 years ago now, I'd never actually met a billionaire personally. So I was invited through a business dealing to meet a billionaire from overseas, from a foreign country who's in Australia, and having a conversation with him and some associates around lunch via a translator because he didn't speak very good English. And he asked me some interesting questions, got talking about what he did, etc., and what I did. And he asked me a question. He said, one of the questions was, how long will it take you on your current strategy to become a billionaire? Very interesting question, because you know what, up until that time, I never actually thought about it. I never actually ever set it as a goal. I never had a strategy in place. I never had a plan in place to become a billionaire. Never really thought about it. And I said, top of my head, I said, probably 15, 20 years, something to that effect, if ever. And his response was, He said, why don't you do it in 3? And I'm like, why don't you take more drugs? So, no, I didn't say that, nor did the translator, thank God. So my point was, now, this guy wasn't already a billionaire. He'd become a billionaire in less than 10 years, okay? I wouldn't have valued, we wouldn't have had credibility to say such a thing. But anyhow, after the conversation, it started to plant a seed. I thought, that's interesting. I never thought about becoming a billionaire, but if I was to become a billionaire, how would I do it? Interesting question to ask. And then it rubbed up against my belief systems. My belief systems, 3 years, that's impossible. Even 5 years, 10 years, I don't even know how. So now you start to move up towards what your current belief systems are. Does that make sense? For some of you, whether you're not millionaires yet and you want to be that, it's like, I don't know how to do that. That might be a belief system. It's what our self-imposed limitations are. But anyhow, since then, ironically, it started to plant a seed, and over the last 18 months, I've had the chance to actually, billionaires are coming to my life. It's almost like I've asked them to, but when you put attention out there, they start to show up. I had the chance to meet many billionaires, including Richard Branson, and one particular gentleman, another billionaire, is an Australian billionaire, very down-to-earth guy, and he only became a billionaire in the last, this year actually, and some of you may know, some of you may own shares in one of his companies. I won't mention the company. No, not Fortescue, no. He was a multi-billionaire up until recently. And so he's another guy in a similar industry, and he just a normal guy, and he became a billionaire out of a project he started 4 years ago. And in Australia, very down-to-earth guy. But what these guys, learning off them, they're all following a particular strategy. And the strategy they've used to become a billionaire is pretty much, in every billionaire that I've met, is pretty much the same strategy. Would you like to know what that strategy is? Yeah. Would you like to understand it before you go for dinner? Yes. And it actually takes me no more than 15, 20 minutes to teach it to you. How's that? Are you saying, Jamie, that you can become a billionaire? It could be that simple. It could be taught. Like, shouldn't it be a course that goes for 38 days and costs $3.8 million to sit through and learn? How can it be that simple? Well, obviously there's a lot of depth you could go into, but the concept and the way to go about doing it is quite simple. Okay? And these days there's been more billionaires created than ever. Okay? Especially up into the stock market crash. Okay, there's been a few that lost their billions, but there's been a lot created especially in the last decade. It's been faster for people to become a billionaire than ever. There's also now some of you would use a product by one of the youngest billionaires on the planet. He's a gentleman that created Facebook. Is that true? He's the youngest billionaire on the planet, and that was just an idea. He created the website and he became a billionaire. Okay, but there's a particular strategy behind that creates that. So let me ask you this question. See if you can figure this out. Who is one of the richest people on the planet? Guess. Bill Gates. True? You actually think he's now the richest. Again. So Bill Gates, what makes him worth so much money? Tell me. He has a great product. Is that true? Microsoft software? Some of you saying that's a crap product? Maybe not. It's a crap product, someone said. But what makes his worth? What's the majority of his net worth is what? Yell it out.
He owns shares in Microsoft.
He owns shares in Microsoft. Does it make sense? You know, on a practical sense, he owns a percentage of Microsoft, the company that he founded. Now, was his idea unique, or did he borrow it or model it from someone else? Not only borrowed it, he bought MS-DOS. Okay, it was someone else's idea or product. So he took the rights to someone else's product and improved that and made a much more success. He added value to it, but he was also able to make it a very effective marketing strategy. You know, so he was very successful at it. So he didn't create the idea. Often you don't have to. Take something and improve on it, repackage it, and then he was very clever, able to get it away to, he obviously gave it away a lot in the beginning to get a lot of operating systems using Microsoft. But he maintained the rights to it, and it made him very wealthy. And Microsoft has been a huge organization for many years. So that's how the shares in Microsoft is what makes his most wealth. You can say he earns a lot of money. Sure, he gets a high salary. He earns probably royalties, etc. But that's not what's made him a billionaire. What's made him a billionaire is he started a business, or he owns a portion of a business today that's worth many billions of dollars. Make sense? So it's important to note that. Now, any billionaire, just pretty much every billionaire you'll know, has done the same thing. They have built up a business that's either been sold or valued at a lot of money, and they own a portion of that business. Make sense? That's how they created the wealth. Just about all billionaires. In saying that, though, there was another Australian that became a billionaire recently in Sydney. He's probably no longer a billionaire. He was a billionaire briefly. And he's one of the few that I've ever heard of becoming a billionaire without actually building a business. And how he did it was he was just a share investor. Lives in Sydney, and he bought into a particular stock about 4 or 5 years ago. I think he paid less than 3, 4, 5 cents a share in a particular stock that was worth about $13 up until 3, 4, 5 months ago. Can anyone remember what share that was? Fortescue. So he invested about $1 million into Fortescue when it was worth less than 5 cents, and his shareholding of $1 million was valued at over $1 billion earlier this year. Who would like to do a share trade like that? Okay. So that is what we call very rare, very unique. Probably the only person I've ever heard of just out of a share trade has become a billionaire. Generally, they would have to build a business and either sell it or sell part of it or list it, IPO, listed on the stock exchange, or just have it valued. Like Facebook is not listed, but it's valued at X billion dollars. Why? Because they sold one small percentage of it for X amount of dollars, which valued the rest of it at a certain price. Making sense? So most cases, it's going to be a replication of building a business to do that. So what's that got to do with you, and how can you replicate that? Well, another gentleman that became very wealthy was also Fortescue, Andrew Forrester, that actually created or put together Fortescue. And he was worth $13 billion earlier this year, the richest man in Australia for a few months he was at least. He passed James Packer, then passed him much quicker on the way back, down, okay? Interesting lessons out of some of these entrepreneurs. I mean, Andrew Forrester probably doesn't really care. Now, he was worth 13 billion, now he's only worth 2 billion. I'm sure you feel very sorry for him. So he's lost a large amount of his wealth, but he's probably going to survive on 2 billion. You know, effectively, you probably figure the first billion is probably the hardest to make. It's the second or third is probably a little bit easier. Okay, so it's irrelevant really for money. Once you get X amount of money, it's really just numbers anyhow. But those numbers can buy you a lot of power, a lot of influence. And he's doing some good work. He's putting a lot of money. He put about $100 million into charity, which is a significant amount of money. Okay, but his wealth's gone up and down. So we've seen, so the concept is this: what they're actually doing is something that we can all do on a small scale. A company, let's say a company is earning $1 million. If you had a business earning $1 million per annum, that's a good cash flow, great lifestyle. That's your profit for a year, making $1 million. Who would love that? $1 million a year income, great lifestyle, you can live a lot on that. Your real wealth is this though. If you were to value that business privately, that business might be worth, say, 5 times earnings. So that business, if you had a business making $1 million a year, your business is effectively worth, depends on the industry, it's worth how much? $5 million. Okay, now in today's market, you're probably depressed market, you're going to get a lower valuation. But generally, say 5 times, 4 or 5 times, depending on the industry. However, so it makes sense, that's worth, so the real value is not just the $1 million a year, it's the $5 million capital asset you've created. If you were to sell that or part of that, you could sell out of that and make $5 million. Okay. There was one particular young guy, I can remember when he first came to one of the seminars, he was a teenager effectively still, 19 years of age. He sat there with his girlfriend front row, and he applied many of these strategies, and he built a web internet type business and sold it, and made over $27 million. Okay, so same recipe, not a billionaire, but same recipe. He actually did that with a business partner of mine who made close to $60 million out of the same transaction. All they did was build a internet-based business, and they sold it to a publicly listed company. Publicly listed trading companies are looking for businesses to buy that's showing profit, bought it. They got shares, cash and shares, and then the shares on that company that bought it off and their share price went up for X amount of years. So they might got it, say, $10 million for their share, but as the share price went up, their $10 million worth of shares end up being worth 2-3 times that, okay? Obviously dropped down in the recent market, but etc. Make sense? So how does this relate to you? Well, here's something you want to consider. Let's bring this right back. If you had a website that was not making $1 million a year, that was making, say, just $50,000 a year, that's a great income, great website, good passive generator. What is that website worth to an investor? Well, it depends what you're prepared to pay. If I said, here is a website that's making $50,000 a year, it's been doing that for 2 years and it's slowly growing, and it happens without a lot of time and effort, simple product, $50,000 a year, who would give me $50,000 for that website after due diligence? Who'd consider that? Yep. Who would consider $75,000? Take a $75,000? Yeah, subject to due diligence, that you're happy with the due diligence and everything. Who would consider $100,000? Yep, $100,000, $150. Yep, $200. Some? Okay, so $200, $250. Some would consider $250. If I said vendor finance, $300. No money down. Yeah, now you get some more buyers, okay? So I didn't have $300, but now I can pay it off. So there might be some bidders go high, but in other words, you see what we're doing? That asset, $50,000 a year, is worth times something. In a depressed market, it might only be worth 1, 2, depends on the nature of the business, the history of the business, the future projection of the business. That will all be determined. Generally, it's past results and the next 12 months ahead They'll be averaged out. So let's say it's had 2 years of trading. So you take 2 years of its net profit, and then the 12 months ahead, what you expect it to make, average that out, and then times it by multiple. So in this case, let's say it's averaging 50,000, times that. Some people in this room were prepared to pay up to 6 times that. In other words, 300,000. Others only 2 times, 3 times, etc. So the point is, how billionaires become billionaires is this. They might have a business, say, making $1 million. It's valued at $5 million. What they will then do, that's if it's sold privately. They could do a couple of things. They can take that company public and do an IPO. An IPO, initial public offering via the share market, okay? If they took that public in the normal market times, right now they took it public, most companies wouldn't go public right now because the market is so depressed, so low, you wouldn't get much of a capital raising and you get very low multiples. But in normal times, say 12 months ago, a public company, if this went public, a company making $1 million a year as an example, might be worth 10 times. Say? So 10 times 1 million is how much? Is $10 million. So that's a company that might have what's called a market capitalization of $10 million, trading at 10 times its profit. Okay. Is there companies on the share market, Australian Stock Exchange, that are actually earning less than $1 million a year? Yes or no? There is, yeah. Especially now, lots of them. But that's what we call small cap companies. Okay, making small amount of money. They have a small market capitalization. And right now they wouldn't trade at 10 times, but let's say in normal market times, you might get 10 times for that. What they've done is get a multiple times. So they've got $10 million for their business. So to become a billionaire, what they've had to have is some companies might get a 15, in a boom market, a 15 to 20, 25 times multiple. So let's say you're getting a 15 times multiple. Well, let's use an example like, who's heard of ABC? Eddie Groves. Now, Eddie Groves is an interesting character and was an amazing success story up until recently. Okay. Now, what did Eddie Groves do and how did he grow so fast? This is how they go about doing these things. And when it's working well, they make a lot of money. If they over-leverage or run into difficult times, well, then it can all come down like a house of cards. Okay. So, Eddie Groves, this is what he was doing. Buying XYZ childcare centres. He would buy them privately. He listed it and become a public company. He was trading at 20 times at one point. 20 times. When their share price was $7 or $8, if you ever when you bought into that business, you're buying into a business at a valuation of, say, 20 times. You're paying 20 times its profit. That means if you just lived off the dividends, it would take you 20 years to get your money back off the dividends. That's how it's based on. 20 times its profit. Make sense? So when you're in share investor, you need to know about this. How much per times are you paying for a share? If you're paying too much, now it'll vary on industry, but if you're paying too much, it's like, would you pay, let's give you this example. Let's say a childcare centre was making $1 million a year. Let's say a group of them, because they don't make $1 million each. Let's say a small group of them making $1 million. That sold private, that childcare centre might be sold at 5 times on the private market. So you can maybe get it 5 times is 5 million. So this is how billionaires become billionaires rapidly. Buy a private business, group of childcare centres for 5 times earnings, $5 million. They are trading at 20 times. As soon as they, as a publicly listed company, they buy this group of childcare centres for $5 million, and often they will pay shares. Often they don't even have to pay cash. You can physically give them shares in your own company for that. ABC was doing this at times. Or they're also borrowing a lot of money from the banks to do it in most cases. If you buy this childcare centre or group of childcare centres at $1 million a year, profits cost you $5 million. Immediately once you've bought it, what is it now revalued at? How much is that group of childcare centres you just bought? You paid $5 million for. What's it now revalued at? It's revalued at what? You're a publicly listed company trading at 20 times. You pay $5 million for what's it now valued at? $20 million. Does that make sense? You have just bought something for 5 million that is now revalued by the market at 20 million. Why is it valued at 20 million? Because you as an investor, if you bought ABC at $8 or $7, you paid $20 million equivalent for those centres. Does it make sense? So why is it valued at? Because investors out there are willing to pay that at that time, 12 months ago. Okay, 20 million. What has Eddie Groves just made on paper? And what's money printed on, by the way? Money is all paper, remember? Now, certain levels of paper. Cash has a certain higher value at times than share certificates of paper. Is that true? An invoice is paper. A receipt's of paper. A bank check or a check is paper. A credit card statement is effectively paper. So 20 times. He's paid $5 million for something and it's now worth 20 million. On paper, he's made how much in between? $15 million. Let me ask you this question. The addiction of money. If the banks will loan you the $5 million, or at that time, hundreds of millions or billions of dollars, and every group of childcare centres you buy for $5 million is now worth $20 million, you make $15 million on paper and makes the market very happy because you're growing, you're increasing the asset base of your company, you're achieving more revenue, so everyone's loving you, you're a market darling, and the banks are throwing unlimited money at you. How many of these childcare centres would you go and buy? Or in Eddie Groves' situation, 2,600 of them. Do you see why he was motivated to grow? Do you see what he was doing? He was making an absolute mozza, or for ABC was making an absolute mozza, and he was part owner of that. Do you now start to see how money's created in the market? That's how people become billionaires. Is that replication. You're buying something at this value, and if it's listed, it's now worth another value because a retail investor is valuing it at that. Okay? And when things keep on growing, they keep on growing, keep on getting bigger. And when interest rates are cheap and money's being thrown out, there's two ways they can buy things. You can either sell more shares and dilute your shareholding and raise more money from the market and take money from investors such as yourself, or you can borrow from the banks at whatever interest rate they're giving it to you, 9, 10% or whatever. And it's often cheaper to borrow the money. The challenge of borrowing the money, you have to pay it back. If you take it off investors, do you have to pay it back, yes or no? No. You've given the money, you'll only get it back if someone else will buy the share off you, or you get it back in dividends eventually, maybe. Making sense? So that's the two ways to do it. So in this case, they were borrowing a large amount of money because there was a credit boom, and away they went and bought 2,600 childcare centres. The market changed though. This is all great when you're getting 20 times valuation. The challenge was when the market went bust due to the credit crisis, then these valuations started dropping. So the 20 times dropped all the way back down to less than 5 times. So now their debt, which they borrowed real money for, paying for it, their shareholdings isn't even worth that now. So they're paying a lot of debt, and the company can't afford to meet the debt obligations. And the company's growing so fast, it can't even manage the existing childcare centres in Australia that were profitable, and all of a sudden the whole house of cards can start coming down. Who's following what I'm saying? So you can get wealthy spiralling up very rapidly. You can also go back. I hope no one is an ABC shareholder because this might be a depressing topic. But for everyone else, it should be exciting. Make sense? Okay? So the point of sharing this is a few things. You're a share investor, so you're aware of what you're paying, what you're buying into, and the risk on shares. There's a massive upside also that can grow rapidly. There's also risk of why you might want to insure these positions. Now, interesting enough, one of our lecturers at the 4-day event, it's a strategy that we teach, how you can protect your shares, you can borrow 100% protect your shares. They offered to people such as Eddie Groves a year ago, Jerry Harvey's wife as well, people like that. Hang on, you might want to protect your shares. Here's what we can do for you. As a service, we'll do it for you. And most of these entrepreneurs declined. Costly mistake, isn't it? Could you imagine if Eddie Groves had protected his shareholding at $7 or $8 by buying a 12-month put option or something? Might have cost him a little bit of money, but you know how much money he would have made? He actually had made an absolute fortune from his company going down, okay? So, because the value of the insurance would have went through the roof. He would have been protected. Instead, the company would have been better off as well because he got margin called, share prices dropped, you've borrowed. He borrowed a large amount of money, margin loaned, secured against investment properties to borrow and buy more shares at $7 or $8. Not a smart thing to do. Then, to stop a margin call, he sold $20 million worth of money. So money he had to protect, so he'd be looked after for the rest of his life. He sold $20 million to try and stop a margin call. Wasn't enough, so he loses everything, pretty much. So there's lessons in that as an entrepreneur to, one, be wary of that, but also to show you how money is replicated on the share market. That's what they're doing. Now, how do you replicate that? Well, you can build a big business and list it and make a lot of money that way, or you can do it on a small scale. The small scale is what I'm talking about here. If you can build up a website, now I've known members that have done this, built up a website, sold it for a couple $100,000 because they've got a big website, it's making money, and there's other people that want to buy it, okay? And that, who thinks that's a good idea if you can make a couple $100,000? So this weekend, you're putting a lot of effort in. I know it's difficult, it's a challenge, you're stretching your mind, you're thinking, my God, this sounds simple, but I can see that's not always that simple. But the payday is, you can build up something that you can sell, or you can just keep and get that passive income. So there is a lot of money in this if you understand this. Who starts to see the bigger picture now? Okay, even if it's over the top of your head for some of you. The point is, that's the replication strategy. And that's how a lot of people have become wealthy. Now, interesting, Eddie Groves, he was interviewed recently and they asked him, they said, also the danger of entrepreneurs building businesses too big. Okay, businesses get to a certain point, if they're pushed too hard, they fall over. Eddie Groves said he wishes he could go back to when his ABC was only 45 to 46 childcare centres. He said, I remember those days where I used to know every staff member, I used to enjoy the business, it was fun. He wishes he could go back to that. He got to the point, by then he would have had plenty of money to have a great lifestyle, but got caught up in building something perhaps too big. He said, everyone in the market, I listed, everyone wanted growth, and I was told by advisors, I was told by the banks, I've got to borrow money, I've got to grow. That's what the market wants. And he built this huge company that then fell over. But as far as quality of life, you can see how money, he had enough quality of life at this level. When you go too big sometimes, you actually lose your quality of life, the stress, and he wishes he could go back to that point. But I'm sure a lot of people wish he could go back to that point. At least there'd be 45 childcare centres that might be still operating in the near future. So that's an example of how wealth can be created. So people have either, you don't necessarily have to list your business, you can sell your business, build a business and sell it to publicly listed companies. They're the ones that with the money that will buy. And you'll see a lot of that going on right now, a lot of acquisitions. The companies that are cashed up, their share price might be low, but they've got cash. And they'll go and buy a lot of the companies that are going broke. They'll pick them up for nothing. They'll hold on to them. They might be able to now buy, instead of 5 times, you've got traded companies that normally would trade at 20, 25 times that you are now only trading at 3 or 4 times. Okay? You've got some companies, listed companies trading 3 or 4 times. You could probably buy some businesses for 1 or 2 times in this current market. So you can actually pick up bargains. Like you go in the share market right now, you can actually make, if you're smart, you can make a small fortune in the share market, or a large fortune, because you can buy shares at a fraction of what they were. Basically, across the board, 51% discount to what they were 12 months ago. The market's come down that far in 12 months. How much further will it go? No one knows. Okay? But if you know about protecting your positions, like entrepreneurs could have as well in their shareholdings, they would be able to sleep at night and actually profit. Okay? So I'm not going to go and teach you about the share market here, but some of those will be at the 4-day, etc. We cover those topics. I'm just curious, does anyone have any questions about becoming a billionaire, or any questions about anything we've covered so far today? We'll start down here, take a couple of questions and then a couple of announcements, and then we'll have a dinner break.
I'm Jake, and I've just got
Hi,
a
Jake.
question about how you said you can sell off the site if you build it up and so forth. Instead of selling off your website for a profit, like selling it to a public company, can you build your website up as a company, list it, and then acquire other people's websites?
Yeah, so you can do that as well. So you can say, you got a few options. If you build up a business, and you don't necessarily have to sell it to a publicly listed company, that's just one way to sell it, and they usually have plenty of money. Okay, so they'll pay. They can afford also. You can see how Eddie Groves was able to outbid other childcare centres. He's valued at 20 times. He can afford to pay 5, or someone else's, a private company, another childcare centre, is wanting to grow and they're not listed. They might offer $5.5 million. He can come in and pay $6 million because he knows he's going to be revalued at 20. So he has an advantage where he can pay more, but often that can be dangerous because they end up paying too much and can't fund the debt. So you can sell, if you build up a business, you can sell it to whoever you can sell it to. It can be a private investor, can be just someone private, can be a public company. Public companies are often easier. Or what you're saying, yes, you can keep your website or keep your business and then publicly list it as well. And you list it on the market, then you'll tend to, as a listed company, get a higher valuation on that business. And then you can then use that, the shareholder, and use your shares as a way, instead of hard cash, you can use your shares to buy other businesses. Because you might say to another business, you want to pay $1 million for it, you can give them $1 million worth of shares. If they're happy to take your shares, you give them $1 million worth of your shares, which is just paper money that you've created out of thin air effectively, but it's now real currency because they can be traded on the ASX. Then you can acquire other businesses and grow by doing that. Does that make sense? Yeah, so you can certainly do that. Now, generally, if you're going to list, there's obviously going to be a publicly listed company. It costs a lot more to do that. There's compliance. There's a lot of costs. So generally, you have to be a certain size to justify the cost of doing it. And it's suitable for some entrepreneurs. I've looked back and forth at listing some of my companies over the years. Very close, I was very close to listing until the market decided to go a very different way. Listing really suits some people. Personally, I'm not a big fan of listing. I'll probably only ever list companies that I no longer want to be involved in as an exit strategy, okay? Or something, a company that I'm not really passionate about, that's not really my main focus, but I'm happy to list it as an exit strategy or not have to be involved. But I would never list my whole group of companies because the companies that I love being involved in, I couldn't handle. Most entrepreneurs are rebels. I couldn't handle being told what to do. If you list your own company, you're effectively now working, not for your company, you're working for a public company, which you're a shareholder in, but you're an employee effectively as a CEO or whatever. You're now working for someone else and you're working for the shareholders. So there's upsides, you can make a lot of money, but there's also the downsides of control and loss of freedom. So a lot of people that have listed have regretted it. But it's a great exit strategy. Many people will list a business because they can sell it to a large amount of investors and walk away. Management teams can come in, run those companies. They can continue to grow without the original founder. And often the founders disappear out of companies after they're listed. Next, management comes in and takes them to higher levels, or sometimes not. Very good. Any other questions? Yep. Is this of interest to anyone about learning how all these things? Even if it's just for useful information to know how people become billionaires, but even as a share investor, it should be very useful for you to know what's going on. Yep.
I'm actually just interested in copyright laws and what you can and can't do and how you find out about that.
Yep.
For example, with your chicken recipes one, like how do you go about getting the chicken recipes that you don't know of yourself?
So what you can do, if you're an internet marketer, there's a lot of information that is given away for free. A lot of people will write articles and give you the rights, or in chicken recipes, give you the rights to actually use them. The only condition they'll have is that they might have their name at the end of it or a website at the end of it. So under condition you keep that in there. Okay, so you probably don't need to go and see a copyright lawyer and things like that if it's something, a particular deal, or you might want it. But I'm sure you can Google and get the basics of that. There's a certain percentage of things have to be changed to now qualify as your own, as opposed to what is someone else's intellectual property. But generally, on the internet, there's a lot of free things. And in one way, another marketing strategy, you can actually create articles and allow other people to use those articles, or create products and services, allow other people to give those products and services away for free. It gives them something away for free, but it's actually promoting you in the process of doing that. So there's, on the internet, some of the speakers will cover it, but there's a lot of ways you can get free information that you're allowed. They'll actually allow you and give you the rights to market it. Yep.
So what would stop someone from Nigeria using your Google book to sell on the internet?
What would stop someone?
I'm just wondering what would...
Well, technically, in some countries, no. Nigeria probably wouldn't use it because they're into a more effective way to generate money.
But someone could use... I've noticed, yeah.
No, there's nothing actually stopping them other than someone taking legal action to try and prevent someone using it. Okay.
But is there any legal rights to, that sort of...
In the Western world, yes, there's intellectual property rights, there's copyright laws, etc., that most countries will acknowledge. Some countries, developing countries, even China, for instance, they have their different views on intellectual property. Yeah. But there's a standard in the Western world, there is. Yeah. So you can actually, if you have a copyrighted material, you have through the courts a way to protect that. Okay. But in some sense, if someone's going to copy some of your material, sometimes it's promoting what you do anyhow, so let them. Okay. That's what I'm saying. You ever been to Thailand or Bali where they have all these copyright pirated movies and stuff like that? I'm trying to encourage them to copyright my intro DVD. So here, pirate it to the hell. You can give it away to thousands of people. I don't particularly care. Okay. Right over in this far corner. Yep.
You see on the Fiji and Pacific Specialist Holidays,
Yep.
and they've got all those lines underneath them, separate links. How do they do that?
So you mean the Qantas Holidays website?
No, the Fiji and Pacific Specialist Holidays, the one that's lit up there. Yeah, see that? Now they've got all these other references that you can click on there.
Okay, yeah, good question. I'm not totally sure, but I take a guess at that. Sometimes that Google will just do that. So it might be particular keywords. That I think sometimes Google just does that. Or someone may know, or one of the speakers may know, there may be a specific strategy they do to be able to get that. I don't actually know. Okay, but I know that does appear sometimes. I think sometimes it's just the way Google lays it out. Maybe it's the spiders that are crawling. It picks up other keywords in there and it'll display other things. Or I would dare say their website, they have a good SEO that's able to set that up in a way that the Google spiders, that's the things that are trawling through to put information, is set up in a way so Google will pick it up and display it that way. That's what I would add a good guess. Some internet expert that'll be here later this weekend may be able to answer that question. Okay. Any other questions? Who's hungry? Hungry to learn more or hungry to eat? Both. Okay, good answer. Okay, so I hope that's been useful for you. A couple of announcements I'll let you know about, but I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. I know everyone's at a different level here. Most of you are just starting out. You've got 2.5 more days of learning, so you're going to learn a lot of depth. There's a lot of different strategies. It's a matter of taking as much as you can and getting out there taking action. What you've learned so far today, you can actually start an internet business by being an online affiliate and promoting someone else's website. And as you evolve, the next step is maybe having your own website, your own products and services, or getting the rights to products and services and expanding that way. It's just a matter of getting started. So after lunch, we're going to have the first speaker after dinner, the first speaker will be Warren Black. He's going to be teaching you about how to minimize your tax legally. That will be very beneficial for some of you with the money that you're going to be making from this, or also from share investing and property investing. And then we have an internet speaker tonight, one of the most popular internet speakers. And why he's very popular, because he's very down to earth and he gives a lot of information, a lot of the basics and small practicalities that you're going to need to fill in a lot of the gaps. So worth sticking around for that tonight. Tomorrow you have a huge day. We have 5 different internet experts for you tomorrow, starting with Armand Moran will be here, or he's already here, but he'll be speaking tomorrow morning, and we're going to have him speak a second time also on Monday for you. He's just flying out from the United States to be here, and as another US speaker as well, or 2 other US speakers out here as well, and a couple of Australian speakers mixed in there. So big day tomorrow as well. Then Monday, you're welcome back to come Monday as well. We have obviously a whole line up there for you. So a couple of things I want to let you know about. We've just been filming some new programs. You would have got a flyer earlier in your seat before. I think I mentioned some of them. If you wish to continue your education, some of the other programs, we've had some of these for some time. There's a brand new program that I only filmed last weekend called Time Rich. How to have a millionaire's lifestyle, how to become a millionaire. I touched on some of those concepts today. A lot of that obviously in that program goes into much more depth. That program is becoming available in the next couple of weeks, so you can order that. If you remember, all these programs are $295 each as a home study to be sent out to you. If you're a non-member, obviously you just have to pay more for that, but it's got those prices on there. The other program that we have is RPA. It's a time management program, how to be results-focused, purpose-driven, action-orientated. That program's available. There's a public speaking program, those who want to develop your communication skills, whether to speak better in your job or be able to become a public speaker to accelerate your career. There's also the tax minimization asset protection program, which is a 1-day program we filmed last weekend. We also have sales and marketing. So if you want to develop your sales and marketing skills, that's a home study program. I deliver the first part of it, the first 3 or 4 hours, and then we have other speakers deliver that. And of course, the last program is the Internet and Business Mastery Home Study, which as a member, you'll get that for free tomorrow when you finish up tomorrow. So you don't have to remember everything. You can go home and watch that. And there's about another dozen speakers that have been at previous seminars that aren't at this weekend that you'll be able to learn off them as well in that program.